Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Local Lowdown podcast. We are located in South Central Texas. On this podcast, we do a weekly review of all the newspapers in Lavaca County, Texas, and also the Luling Newsboy and Signal located in Luling, Texas. After the reviews, we will have a conversation about different subjects all over the Lone Star State. Some of these things can get quite comical. Thanks for listening. And now, here are your hosts, Murray and Michelle.
Hello everybody, this is Murray back with you for this 27th and 28th of May 2026 edition of the Local Lowdown. And I got a new guest with me here today, and that's Mr. Jimmy Appelt. We're glad to have you, Jim.
Well, thank you. I really love the way you say that local lowdown. I get a kick out of it every time I listen to it.
Sometimes I can get deeper than other times, just depending on the sinus problem, you know.
You do a good job of it.
But anyway, you got some big shoes to fill this morning.
Oh, yes.
Because Michelle's not going to be here. She's going to a ball game. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But speaking of Michelle, she sent me a audio clip last night to be included in this broadcast. But she evidently was driving in her car when she made it, and sound quality is really bad, and I can't put it on here. But what she was wanting is that she needs a vacation, and that she's asking people to suggest places they could go.
Oh, my.
She's also got that posted on the Local Lowdown Facebook page. So you can go there, and she's asking for suggestions, and so you can check it out and give her what suggestions you have. So she's at the ball game, and I'll let Jimmy tell us about that ball game.
Well, as we speak, they started the state softball tournament this morning. This is Thursday morning, and I believe Ganado was playing first off. I'm not certain. I can't remember who their opponent is. But this afternoon, the Lady Comanches, Shiner, will be playing Sundown. And it's a rematch of last year's state championship game, and Sundown won that. And so I'm sure the Lady Comanches are hoping to make amends on that and try to win
I think there was a lot of controversy about that game. I think there was a girl on the Sundown team that was doing some taunting or something.
Well, Michelle showed me the video, and it was a little bit, the girl came around from third to home and scored. She had to jump over the catcher's tag, and she tagged the base, and then when she got up, she kind of yelled at the catcher, and that's what that I think was and it really, I guess, in a way, could be considered intimidation or whatever.
Well, where is Sundown?
You know? You would have to ask that.
Well, I looked it up one time, and then I forgot, which is good.
I know it's up in North Texas, but I don't know if it's northwest, kind of western side of. I don't think it is. I think it's more northeast side of Texas. So I'm not certain exactly where they're located.
Well, that'll give us something to look for when we get through with this.
Yeah.
Well, what else? Did you have something else?
Well, yeah, I guess we could thank the good Lord. We've been getting a lot of rain lately.
Well, I'll tell you
nice rains. Last week, my rain gauge over the whole week had 4.2 inches, and then the rain we got on Tuesday night, we got right at 2 inches. So it's been some nice rains.
There was one, I don't know how long ago now that's been, but I had a little over 4 at one time. And one.
Really?
Yeah. But like I said, that might be 2 or 3 weeks ago, knowing my memory. But I had 1 inch yesterday, and I tell you what, they just keep rolling through. And then I read this morning that there's a depression in the Gulf. So
oh, really? I didn't know that.
I was looking on radar, and it looks to me like all that mass that we had would have blew that thing plumb out, but I don't know, but I guess it's still there.
Well, hurricane season, we'll talk about that later in the papers, because I think I had an article on hurricane season starting, and it starts Monday. And it runs through November, and that's the time you have the greatest chances of hurricanes developing or storms developing in the Gulf of Mexico or in the Atlantic Ocean, and then working its way this way. And we've been real fortunate. We haven't had a lot of that, and we don't really want that. But
we want the rain, but we don't want that other part.
Exactly.
And, being raised on the Gulf Coast, I've seen that other part, and it's not nice.
Yeah, you've been a lot more experienced with it. The only one I remember was Hurricane Carla way back in the 60s, and I remember it coming through here, and it was really rough.
Yeah. My mom and dad, I was in the Army, and I was at Fort Knox, Kentucky when it blew through. But Mom and Dad ran, and my little brothers and sisters, and they went to Austin because that's where we were from. That's where our family was from. And Daddy said that thing followed them all the way to Austin.
Yeah, it was a weird storm, and I can just remember waking up in the middle of the night and how the winds were blowing, and then it got so calm because the eye of the storm kind of went over part of Hallettsville, but more over Yoakum, I believe, and it got really calm, and then all of a sudden it started blowing again.
Well, didn't the eye hit around Port Lavaca?
I think you're right. At Port O'Connor or Indianola, there was a little community called Indianola at one time.
And I think a very historic community that's no longer there. But if that's true, and I'm sure it is, that the eye hit in that area, then we would be on the dirty side. Mm-hmm. And down there, the dirty side means you're getting the water. You're getting the tidal wave. And I had this guy that I usually write about that every year, and I didn't this time, but he was a young man that was a friend of my sister's, and they were in the same class, and his whole family got wiped out on Bastrop Bayou down there, and National Guard went in there 3 times, and third time they went in, they lost a deuce-and-a-half truck, all because the daddy wouldn't let the family come out.
Yeah, there's people, I'm sure, that think they can ride it out.
Oh, Lord.
Then when it gets to be so bad, they don't have a chance. I've seen movies about that. I saw one on Netflix a few months ago, and it was about not getting out of there when a hurricane went through, and it wasn't fun for those people.
That's a bad mistake, and it's just like driving through flooded water thinking you can make it. It's a bad mistake. Yeah. But getting back to the baseball for a second, what other teams did we have in the playoffs? I know Moulton girls were in it. Maybe Moulton boys. I'm not sure.
No, the Moulton boys got knocked out about 2-3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
The Shiner boys got beat, was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
I think it was last week, yeah.
And they lost to Burton, and kind of the same thing. They lost to Burton last year. If I'm not mistaken, it was the same score, 1-0 both times. And I mean, apparently Burton has a very good pitcher over there that they ride on him pretty good, and he controlled Shiner, who had a very good baseball team, and they were knocked out of it and lost their chance to make it to the state tournament as well. And Hallettsville boys had a real good team this year, and they got knocked out in actually the second round, and the team that beat them is still playing. They're playing in the state semifinals now, Jourdanton. And I went and watched one of the games, and Jourdanton had a scrappy ball club, and they gave Hallettsville a lot of grief, although Hallettsville came very close to beating them, but didn't. And Jourdanton has gone on since then. And really, I felt like the winner of the Jourdanton-Hallettsville game would probably make it this far and still be playing. And so, unfortunately, the Hallettsville boys didn't make it, and Jourdanton's the one that's
I don't know about you, but I'd rather get beat 50-0 than 1-0.
Well, as a former baseball coach involved in that, I can tell stories about games we lost and were denied going to state. A couple of times we lost by 1 run both times.
Lord.
One was on a wild pitch that allowed the winning run to score, and the other, my pitcher threw a one-hitter, and we lost 1-0.
My goodness.
So it's tough to take, but really, you're right. You could probably handle it better if somebody really beat you soundly.
Yeah, if you got blowed out, you could say, well, they're definitely the best team, but the same thing kind of happened with them Moulton girls. I think they were right down to the wire.
That's exactly right. I listened to that game. One of my former players, and he had a daughter playing on the team, Steve Lahuda, did the game, and I enjoyed listening to it, and it really was exciting. I was pulling for those Moulton girls. I was hoping, I know they've never made it that far, and that would have been quite an accomplishment. But yet, even there, memories they'll have from this season will last them the rest of their life.
Yeah, it was still a historic event, even though they didn't finish it off.
I know, and they went 9 innings, I believe, and lost by a run. I think it was 6-5. So it was a tough loss for those girls.
Well, talking about Moulton, let's go ahead and jump into the Moulton Eagle newspaper and see what the folks can look forward to. If you haven't received your papers yet, that's what this podcast is about, is to let you know what's coming if you haven't got it. And I always encourage people to join the online subscription where they can get it early, and they don't get bad misprints when they get it. They get it like it was before it went to the printer. So anyway, we got the Memorial Day.
Right now we're going to start off with your paper that you put together.
Yeah.
Murray does a good job of putting this paper together. I mean,
well, thank you, Jim.
And he puts a lot of effort and work and spends a lot of time doing so. So hopefully everybody out there appreciates it when they pull out a Moulton Eagle and look at it. Looked like they had a Memorial Day ceremonies, and our star reporter Clayton Kelly with 2 E's.
Clayton Kelly with 2 E's. He's got most of that front page, I think.
Yeah.
You got a little of it, but yeah, we had the Memorial Day and got 3 pictures. Got the honor guard and the rifle salute, and people getting poppies. Clayton said everybody that attended got a poppy. So if you don't know what a poppy is, you can go online and find out real quick.
Well, that's really neat. They sell those. They submit them that time of the year during Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and usually people will give a little donation for a poppy, and then you go around wearing it. It's kind of to remember the fallen soldiers, and that's what Memorial Day is all about. Is that? And they had this out at the city cemetery, but we were told it was the old Moulton Cemetery.
Well, I think they're calling it that in that article, but that's not those photographs are not the old Moulton.
Okay, that's at the Moulton Cemetery.
Not the town of Old Moulton. Now,
yes,
I don't know.
Yeah, we had a little discussion about that, didn't we? We tried to figure out where the old Moulton Cemetery was, and someone last.
If Clayton Kelly with 2 E's found it, everything's great.
I've been at it on GPS.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, then we have looked like Moulton's a little article, another one by Clayton about the city park going to get some upgrades.
Yeah, they've been doing some upgrades to it, and I'd like to thank Mr. Adam Nieto, I believe, took those pictures, and he should have a credit in there somewhere.
Yes, sir, it's Adam here.
And then you have a picture there of the EMS.
Well, that was done at the last Commissioner's Court meeting, and we weren't able to get it in because one of the persons identified on the photo, we were trying to find out who it was, and finally got that identification. And so it's been run in the Moulton paper, and I think it's been run in some of the other papers as well. And it's just that last week was in the county, it was EMS week. And just recognize all the work and effort that our EMS service does here in Lavaca County. And they are an exceptionally good group of men and women, and headed by Michael Furr. And it's really a great organization.
We couldn't do without them, that's for sure.
Yes, that's true. Anyway, we move on to the inside of this paper. And there's my article on we're going to have that again in the Tribune, I know, about the hurricane season beginning June the 1st. We just talked about that a few minutes ago. And they're just tells you basically what they expect, and the names of the storms, up through, I think it's, I can't remember what they go through, but all the names of the storms are listed there somewhere as well, and then also why they believe it's going to be the type of season. They're just basically predicting a below normal, but that doesn't mean anything.
No, because usually when they predict a bad one, well, it's usually not that bad. Yeah. I've got an article over there Jimmy might mention.
Okay, sure.
About the data centers.
Oh, yes.
We had talked about that, I think, Michelle and I, on another podcast, and And I was thinking, well, there's a lot of people, myself included, that don't know what those things are, and they're popping up around these little rural communities. And I tell you, when you read that article, when you see the amount of water and electricity that they have to have, it can be a real burden on the supplies.
Yeah.
Like I always said, they can create more electricity, but the good Lord creates the water, and they can't decide that.
And for you that don't know what my understanding of a data center is basically, and you probably haven't written in there. I haven't read it yet. And anyway, basically they store all the information that's goes around on the internet, no matter what it might be. And that's what these data centers are all about.
Yeah, they're huge, and they've got so many computers, and they're generating so much heat, and it's just a lot of these little communities now are starting to learn what's coming, and the bad thing about it, they get a lot of their property through eminent domain. In other words, in my estimation, that's just stealing. But anyway, you might get a kick out of that if you don't know what that is.
And it's amazing how much we have grown to depend on the internet. And I mean, I was out of the internet, and that basically I lose everything if I don't turn my television on. I don't hear any. The radios now, you can't get it unless you get it over the internet, and it's amazing.
Yeah, like in that article I had written that every time you do a simple thing like send an email, it goes through one of these data centers. So
exactly.
It'll give you some idea of what all they do. And
well, here's a story Mark Luby wrote on the Kittens historic season, and unfortunately, as we talked about a while ago, they lost their state semifinal game, which was an honor to make it that far.
You bet.
But they lost in 9 innings, 6-5. So, tough loss for the girls, but they had a great year, and they have nothing at all to hang their heads about. And we congratulate them and their coaches and the whole school for what they were able to accomplish.
All right, that pretty well wraps
Takes care
up
of the bulletin paper.
Yeah.
All right, we go to the Yoakum Herald Times.
I'm going to take a ride down there and see Allison, and what's that other lady's name over there?
Nadine.
I say that every time just to get a rise out of her. But yeah.
Does she even listen?
I don't know. She used to have to listen because when we first started this podcast, we did it via video, and we actually did it in the Yoakum office. So we'd be talking, I'd be looking through the door and seeing Nadine back there. I think she was listening to see if we made any mistakes.
Well, they start off here, too. They had some Memorial Day ceremonies and so forth. And I saw on the top here, Memorial Day ceremony features 21 rifle salute. I went through a lot of information. I've even caught flack about that in the past. And so I made sure I put it right in our paper, in the Tribune. But in my understanding, it's called 21 gun salute.
Yeah, exactly. And, that's what I always heard.
And I hope they don't catch a lot of flack from it, because the veterans, they take a lot of, they really, that's important to them. And it really is. These ceremonies, I went to the Hallettsville one, and they are very, very emotional and meaningful. And you just think about all the people, the men and women that gave their lives so that we can sit here right now and talk about our freedom and our freedom and say the things we want to say.
And those veterans, my dad was one, and he was 5 years in fighting Nazis in Germany and Belgium and France. And every single one of them that I ever interviewed or talked to, they lamented so much about they couldn't understand why they got to come home and their buddies died.
Yes.
And Daddy always said, I don't understand. He said, I got to come home and raise a family and do all the things you do in life. And them boys died at 19 or 20 or 21.
Correct.
But that's just something we don't have any control over that.
I'm totally amazed all the time how guys people in their 18, 19 years old go over and start fighting in a war. I mean, it just you almost have to just look past the thought of maybe dying in that war and just doing what you can to try to survive.
Not only dying, but the memories, the bad things you see.
Exactly.
And my dad, he was at one of those Nazi death camps, and they pulled up there. There was a convoy of trucks, and the officer in charge asked them, said, you boys need to get off these trucks and come look and see what you've been fighting against. And Daddy said, I didn't want to go in. He said, I'd seen all the death I wanted to see. And he said, a lot of them boys that went in there and saw them bodies stacked up like cardwood, he said, they come out throwing their guts up. So it's a terrible thing.
Yes, it is.
Even if you survive, you still have those memories that haunt you from forever.
Correct. Well, Yoakum held their graduation ceremony at Bulldog Stadium. Got a nice photo taken of the students, the seniors tossing their hats up in the air after the graduation was finished, or right at the end. And it was a good time of the year for the seniors. They're now moving on to another step in life.
Yeah.
That's about what it amounts to.
Getting ready to start a new life.
That's correct. Okay, we have the article on the hurricanes again, and then we also have the EMS photo on the front page. DeWitt Commissioners Court met on June the 3rd, they met, but they didn't. The article, nothing's written. I mean, it's just a short little article on it. The detailed information will be out in the next paper.
Yeah.
And then we go to the next page. Is there anything here? I don't see anything that
I think it's mostly the traditional stuff.
Yes. Okay, and here's a big write-up, and all the kids that were the seniors that graduated. I don't know how many they graduated, but it's a big number of them. And some more photos of the Memorial Day Ceremonies. Yoakum Little League All-Stars were picked, and they'll be starting to play here in early June. And all-district team was named out of the Yoakum's baseball district. And let's see, here's
watch for them obituaries.
I am watching them. I
yet.
haven't seen one yet. Maybe we're fortunate this year.
Good.
So I haven't seen one in either the Yoakum or the Moulton paper as of yet, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Here's a bunch of ads that classified, and of course we're always grateful to them for.
You bet. Go watch those classifieds, and as I always say, you might find something in there that you didn't know you needed. So.
Well, here on the back page is a big kind of a layout of the Yoakum Tom Tom Festival coming up on June 5th and 6th. And then above they have a bunch of pictures of young girls going for Young Miss and Little Princess.
Yeah.
And that'll be named at that time as well, I believe.
A bunch of beautiful little kiddos and good-looking young men. And, that's something to look forward to, that Tom Tom Festival. I've never been to one.
Me neither.
But they say that's a big deal. And we appreciate these color ads, folks. That's what keeps us going is this advertising. So if we fail to say it, it's not because we don't want to say it. It's because our memories are a little short sometimes.
But anyway, the Tom Tom Festival looks like they're going to have lots and lots of entertainment for 2 straight days starting next June the 5th. Is that a Friday? Or when is that?
It's not far away because I think Monday is June the 1st.
That's right. June 5th is Friday and then Saturday. So if you don't have anything going on, make plans to go down there and take part in that. Okay, that takes care of that. Now we move down to the far end of it.
Yeah, we're going to head over to Caldwell County and the Luling Newsboy and Signal and our good friend Nicole Smith.
Nicole Smith, I always kid her. She complimented me on a photo I took for the Hallisville paper, and she said it was really good. And I said, well, I'm just trying to stay up to getting with the skills she has because she does an outstanding job.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and we appreciate. We maybe not say this enough, but she does a lot for all our other papers.
Yes,
I know during the state track thing, she sent pictures. She had taken pictures, I think, of every one of our schools. And I ran a couple of them. In fact, I ran one on the front page last week. And we really appreciate it, Coach. She helps us a lot, and sometimes she even writes articles and shares them with us. So.
Yes, she does an outstanding job, and I'm a make Michelle mad, but I'm gonna say she's the one that's amazing, not Michelle. All right. Of course, Nicole covered Memorial Day ceremonies in Luling as well, and there was some kind of vandalism that took place at Zelder Mill. There's a little write-up here about that, and then here's a graduation, Luling graduation.
Yeah, Michelle did that layout on. Well, she lays out all of Luling, but I hate to say it because she gets a big head, but she did a good job on that.
And then she at the bottom of the page, she has another one. She attended a kindergarten graduation.
She covers it all, I'll tell you. And they got Prairie Lee down the road over there, and she covers that too. That's
exactly right. So anyway, she does an outstanding job with that paper. And again, keep up the good work, Nicole.
You betcha. We appreciate it.
All right, we have, look like Caldwell County opened a new community center, and it says it's built for storms, ready for a celebration.
Yep.
So, nice thing they've done over there as well. And Masons honored community members. Let's see, here we got Prairie Lee athletes were honored at their, I guess they had a sports banquet or whatever, athletic banquet that was held, and so all that. So it looked like we don't have another obituary. Man, we've been lucky today.
I'll tell you what,
Not one obituary, that's a good thing. We're not trying to say we want them.
Yeah. Well, it's neat to go through it without it, and that we don't have to give any condolences because nobody passed on. So
got that.
That's
anyway,
a good thing.
Then again on the back page, just some more graduation pictures and stories and stuff like that. And the Luling Newsboy is really a nice paper.
Yes, it is.
They do a very good job with it. So go out and get you a copy of that.
On over to the Shiner Gazette, which is Michelle's second favorite newspaper, I think, because she lives over there.
The amazing one?
The amazing one, yeah. Yeah.
All right. They, too, had a Memorial Day commemoration or some ceremony, and Clayton Kelly with two E's.
2 E's, boys everywhere. We're even gonna have him on the podcast one of these days. He asked me a while ago. He said, "I don't know what to say."
He got to work up courage.
I said, "Well, Clayton Kelly with 2 E's, you don't have to say anything. We'll ask you some questions." But we'll look for Clayton. We'll have him on here one of these days.
Okay, further thing, tennis courts getting a new facelift. They got a photo of that. And again, here's the hurricane article. And of course, the Lavaca County Commissioners Court met on Wednesday, so the write-up wasn't in the paper, but just the agenda of what all they were going to cover was in there. So the detailed write-up will be in this coming week's paper. Okay, looking over some more. There's another ad for the Yoakum Tom Tom Festival in the Shiner's paper as well. Got some students at Shiner that went to the place first at the UIL Theatrical Design Contest.
Yeah.
And they had, from what I understand, their one-act play did very well too. I believe they went to the state UIL one-act play contest. So
they do a real good job with that every year.
Well, I guess that's the home of the Gaslight Theater. So
that's true. Yeah.
That's kind of their UIL science team finished second in state. So that's congratulations to those people. St. Paul also had their graduation, and photos of the top 2 students, as well as our top 3 students, I should say, are in this paper as well. Sports, as we talked about before we started all this, the Lady Comanches will be playing for the state championship this afternoon. Of course, by the time you hear this, that game will probably be over with, but they're going to be playing sundown. And
does it have a time on there, Jim?
1 o'clock, I believe. And sundown is a very good softball team. I thought I saw somewhere where they've only lost 3 games this year, so they are the defending state champions. So it's going to be a tough row to hoe, but the Lady Comanches, I'm sure, are very capable of handling that type of thing. And here's a write-up about the Burton knocking out the Comanches in the playoffs as well. And as I said, we talked about it a while ago. They lost 1-0. So
let's see where Shiner got the data center story in there.
I'm sorry. Oh yeah, sure do.
Oh, that's good.
That is
spread
good.
It around a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. It writes out. Murray does always a good job of finding little things like that to write about, or that really is just good informational things for people to know, and take time to read them, because you get a lot of. You'd be surprised what you can get out of this paper as compared to some of the big city papers.
That's
or whatever.
true. You know, it's most of the things I write is about history, but we don't always get those in all the papers. But I tend to think about like the data center deal. It was more or less I was wondering about it.
Yeah.
And we needed to have some more copy this week, and I thought, well, I'll write something about it. So
that's good. That's good.
Anyway, it takes a lot of research, you know. I guess that's what some people might not understand is the writing part is actually, to me, quicker than finding the information that you need to write about.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Looking up information takes you more time than actually putting the article together. So once you get all your information, everything seems to go okay.
Yeah, that's the way I've always been too. It seems like when I write about history, first I'm thinking, how am I going to start this? And it seems like once I get the first paragraph, then everything flows after that.
I agree. So, I feel the same. Maybe it's just the way a person's supposed to be if they write. And I'll be honest with you, I never realized I had any kind of talent to write, and I still don't know if I do. But
no, evidently you do, because you've been at it a long time. But my dad, he gave me a compliment one time about he read all the history things, and he told me, he said, when I read your stuff, it's just like you're talking to me. And so I always kept that in mind on things like, I'm not talking about news stories.
Yes, sir.
But like when you write about history or anything, if you, instead of acting like you're smarter than everybody else, you just act like you're sitting next to them and trying to tell them what you're trying to get
agree.
across.
I think that's I find things more interesting when I can follow along. It is like they're telling me something.
Exactly.
And that's what I try to do, too, when I write. So, I don't know. I guess we're getting the writing lesson here.
Yeah.
Anybody out there wants to do it, they're welcome to it as well.
You bet you.
And on the back page, we, again, have the EMS being recognized. Of course, again, that was actually last week. We were just a week late getting the photo in because one of the persons that was not identified, as I said, and we didn't want to put them in there and put the photo in there and not have them all identified.
Exactly.
So. All right,
we're going now to the Hallisville Tribune-Herald, and I always called it the flagship of our newspapers.
Well, I guess it is because we all work here.
Yeah, everybody's here.
But I covered a ceremony as well, and I'll be honest with you, I find these ceremonies to be very, very meaningful. They had Mr. Jerry Tanner. He's a retired lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force, and also a minister at where's that one church he's at? I'm not certain what it is, but here it is. He's at Calvary Baptist Church of Weimar. He's a pastor there also. And that man did an outstanding job. Probably the best speech I've heard in a long time as far as relating to Memorial Day.
Was there a certain thing that he covered?
No, he just stressed basically everything. Well, right here it says, excuse me on my voice, but primarily, I'm trying to find it here in my article, but Tanner's speech honored those who sacrificed their lives. He paid tribute to the service of the fallen soldiers, and it was just kind of explaining why we celebrate or we have Memorial Day, and it's just a meaningful type thing. And again, here on the Commissioner's Court meeting, I thought too, the picture on the front page, actually I took it by a different view of these. I have 7 honor guards. They did the 21 gun salute, and then they stood at attention. I don't know if, I'm trying to remember if that was while taps was being played or if taps had been played first. But I think they did the 21 gun salute.
Usually taps is last.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in the military, and I told my wife this because when I was watching that program that we talked
Yes, sir.
about, and I admit I had tears in my eyes, but that taps
Yeah.
always gets to me because when you're in the service, I don't know how it is now, but when you had lights out, I believe it was around 9 o'clock, taps was played throughout the base, and it's always been a very meaningful thing.
Well, actually, getting back to this photo, I just thought, I'm standing there, I want to get a different photo instead of them standing up shooting the rifle all the time. And I just took it by chance, but it was a picture of them all 7 standing at attention. And I thought I'll get one like that. And I was
That's a
able
good
to
shot, yeah.
identify all the ones in there, too. Again, this paper has the same kind of articles as some of the others do. Of course, we provide that for all the different papers,
right.
but the hurricane season, and then Commissioner's Court's write-up going to be in next week's paper. Lavaca Hospital District Board of Directors selected their new, their officers, which are basically the same ones as all was in the past. Then we go to page 2. There's old Chuckums and his chat with Chuck.
Yeah, and the Jots for Jim and 50
Yeah.
years ago. And
Yeah. I know on the Jots from Jim, I get angry at Michelle all the time because she doesn't ever read them. And I said, you need to stop sometime and read them. Well,
Yeah.
I focused more this week on Memorial Day, and you were mentioning the program on Sunday night of Memorial Weekend. They always have it's called National Memorial Day Concert from the mall in Washington, D.C.
right.
And those people, that is, like you said, if it don't put a tear in your eye, you're not human.
Yeah.
And if you don't, the taps and the playing the armed forces medley at the end, when they have each group come out, each
color
service, color guard come out, and their flags, and they're playing their song. And it just, if you can't get excited about that or have pride in being American, then there's something wrong with you.
You bet. And they ran those, I don't know how many times, but they ran that program, particularly back to back that night.
That's correct.
As soon as it was over, it started again.
Right.
But Jimmy's right. You need to see that if you've got to mount a drop of patriotism in your blood, you need to see that.
It's really awe-inspiring to see what all they do, and I like the stories. They have an actor come out there and tell the story of a soldier, and that soldier may still be alive, or that soldier may be gone, and they recognize their Gold Star family, and it's very moving experience to watch it. Then there's a lot of good patriotic songs or things like that played and sung in it as well, and it's just a great program. Lavaca County retired school personnel had their year-end banquet, and they recognized their scholarship winner, and she was from Hallettsville. Her name was Kendall Meyer.
Yeah.
And, anyway, they held that, and I got to say that anyway because my wife is the president of that.
You bet. You don't want to catch a bunch of trouble when you go home.
And we thank Irene Cherney from Shiner. She always provides all the information from their meetings and so forth, and then we run it in the paper for them, and good little organization.
Yeah, I need to send her an apology because she sent me something about the quilters. I don't know how, but somehow Old Murray overlooked it, and it didn't get in the paper this week. But I promise you, it will be in the Molten Eagle next week.
That's good. That's one thing we normally try to do. If we overlooked it one week, it'll get in. It may be a week late, but it'll get there. So have patience with us sometime. Here, the Sacred Heart Indian girls, they won the state championship, and there's a bunch of them photoed. Chuck has these photos of girls that were picked on the all-district team. I guess, I don't know if there's some on the all-state or have they not named those yet. But they're there, and then basically that's all there was a correction. A girl was left out in the Hallettsville graduation class, and that was made on that page as well.
Then you had a community volunteer cleanup.
Yes, sir.
On the Lavaca
That's what
River.
it said on the Lavaca River cleanup. Did it on March the 28th. And so it's a late article, but it's some pictures and photos in there, and an article about what they did to go out and clean up the river.
Yeah, we appreciate all these volunteers that'll come out and do those kind of things.
Exactly. And that pretty well wraps it up. Here's your story on the data center on the very back page again, and then have a picture down here. The photo 8th annual Rise Up for Life Pro-Life Rally took place at the courthouse back in April. So that's all it. And we didn't have one obituary.
That's a wonderful thing.
That's a wonderful thing.
Getting back to those soldiers, which is something I think about a lot, but they have an event at Port O'Connor called Warriors Weekend. And it was started in 2007. And I made my first visit on 2008. And I went every year through 2014, and then my wife got ill and I didn't get to go anymore. But what they did, they brought in these wounded soldiers from all over, from Fort Hood, Fort Knox. I mean, these big Greyhound buses would roll in there, and they'd have a placard on the front window of what posts they were from. And that was back in, I guess, the heights of Iraq War, and we were getting young people back in bad condition. Mm-hmm. And it got so big at one time, they would always go to Froggy's boat dock, and they'd park those big buses there, and they'd get off, and they had the boats, all volunteer boats, ready to go. And I don't care what condition they was in, if they were in wheelchairs, they'd load them up and take them out. Thank God now things have calmed down a little bit, and I don't think it's near as active because they don't have so many wounded people coming back. Thank God for that. But what always impressed me about those, we talk about the ones that have died, Memorial Day, and how important that is. But friends, we got some good ones. We got some good ones serving right now.
Yes, sir.
And I'd interview some of them kids, they might not have but one arm or whatever, and every single one of them, I don't care to the man or the girl, you say, what do you want? What would you like to do with the rest of your life? And everyone would say, I want to return to my unit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something to see. I know, amazing, and really Memorial Day honors the fallen, but it also, when you've been severely injured and stuff like that, and really and truly, even though we have a Veterans Day for all veterans, we still this recognizes everybody, because if you took time to serve in any particular type of service, I
don't care what you were. If you were a mess cook, somebody has to do it. I mean, that's exactly right. It's so important. And when you look, I did some research one time that we have an all-volunteer military service, and of the entire population of the United States, less than 1% serve.
That's hard to believe.
Less than 1%.
That's hard to believe.
And our president has got the recruiting up.
Yes.
And not trying not to get too political here, which is very hard for me, but when it comes to the military, they have full capacity now. Their numbers are overflowing.
That's good to know.
But
two more things about my article on Jots from Jim. First of all, I wanted to mention that in the local one, they before they do anything, before they have the speech by the individual, they name the soldiers that were from Lavaca County that were killed in all the different wars. And over the years, from World War I to the Iraq-Afghanistan war, we had 192 Lavaca County soldiers that passed away or were killed in action.
Oh, wow.
And they mention every one of those names, and after every name, they ring a little bell, and they move on to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. It's really a moving thing, too. There's not a word. I mean, nobody, it's total silence in there when they're reading those names off, and it's really something. And the other thing I wanted to mention, I also said that in Jots from Jim. I happened to turn on the TV on Monday, and they were having a ceremony at the Arlington Cemetery at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
Right.
And I have had the good fortune to at least go to that particular site 2 different times in my lifetime. I had a son living up in the Virginia area, and when we went up and visited him, we'd tour some of the D.C. things, and we've gone to the Arlington Cemetery a couple of times. I've been to the John F. Kennedy graveside, and where they buried Audie Murphy, and things like that. But that Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, it is amazing to watch what they do there. They have a military, I think he's Marines. I don't know if they're Marine, but I think they are. They continually march back and forth in front of that tomb, one step at a time. It's so synchronized how they do it. They get to the end, and it's 1, 2, and they turn and go back. And they do this whether it's snowing, raining, or anything.
Yeah, I've heard that they do it in storms and everything else.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the soldiers. Actually, I don't believe they're Marines.
I know.
I believe they're the 3rd Infantry Division. They call them the Old Guard.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
You're right. I don't.
It really doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
but
you're right. It's some kind of unit that those guys and women, I think they have now too. That when one of them does his time, I don't know how long he does it for. But then when it's time to switch out, the other one comes out there, and when the one works down to that end, they do some kind of ritual between them, and then the next one takes over, and the same thing starts back and forth. And it just like naming those fallen soldiers, there's not a word said at that place. I mean, it's total silence as people observe and watch them and take photos and stuff like that.
It's very synchronized.
Yes, sir.
I've watched it on TV.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if when you were there, if you noticed, because now I'm trying to be sure I'm correct, but the 3rd Infantry Division, they have blue and white shoulder patches.
Well, I didn't notice that, Tosie, but you probably right.
I think that's right, because they call them the Old Guard, but regardless, they all do a wonderful job.
I highly recommend if anyone goes up to Washington, D.C. to visit this nation's capital, they should take time to go to Arlington Cemetery and see that, and especially all that, but especially the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
When you were talking about the Memorial Day here in Hallettsville, is that the occasion when they have the little kids come by and visit with the soldiers, or is that
no? That's Veterans Day.
Okay,
that's They usually when they used to have some of the programs are held at schools, and as soon as the thing is over, then the veterans line up, and the kids, as they depart, they come by and shake their hands and talk. It's really a neat thing to see, too.
That's good.
But anyway.
Well, have you got anything else, Jim?
No, I can't think of anything. We've covered quite a bit.
Well, remember, everybody, to go to the local Lowdown Facebook page and tell Michelle some suggestions as to where she can go on vacation. And I guess I'll close with this. We want to wish the Shiner Comanches, the girls,
Lady Comanches,
we want to wish them all the best in the world. And old Murray has to edit this podcast, and I doubt seriously he'll have it on before the game is played.
Exactly.
But anyway, that's all from me. You got anything, Jim?
No, I enjoyed doing it. I think Michelle's a tough pair of shoes to fill, but I don't want to say too much, because then she gets the big head too.
Well, all right then. This is old Murray saying goodbye, and Jimmy saying his goodbye.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good week.
Thanks for listening, folks, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.